just received another delivery today, and I have an idea of what this could be. Something else that goes along with our engine build and project build. I hate when they send these little styrofoam insulating packaging. This is it helps keep everything stable. It's a mess cleaning up all of this stuff because it goes everywhere and you want to clean all your stuff up. So I'm going to pause, try to get rid of most of this stuff, dump it into the trash can, and then see what's in the package. Okay, a lot better. The box was full of it, so you can only imagine it definitely filled my trash can up. So let's try to unwrap this. And I'll get it unwrapped just so we can reveal what it is, because I already know what it is. Bingo, check that out. Nice Alcantara shift knob, RS. So this will blend in with my brother's interior with the red and this gray, almost like black Alcantara. This is nice. And the leather shift boot. So this will go good with his interior. Sweet. So this is a 2019 Audi RS3 shifter linkage. So this will work with our DQ500 transmission conversion. It's nice. I did not want to take a chance with possibly ordering a retrofit, which is not bad because they do have the retrofits. The country that we seen that has that retrofit kit, and my brother sent me the information, is overseas. But I had already ordered this anyway. So either way, I knew if we have original shifter linkage for an Audi DQ500, most of them came without the shift knob. And of course, this right here will release for it to go back and forth in the different gears. I wanted that to work properly. If we tried to use his DQ500, DQ250 shift knob onto this box, because most people sell just the boxes, and the shifter linkage box unit itself without the shifter knob, then trying to hit the button to release to go from gear to gear to selector, it may not work with this application. It maybe will, maybe it will, maybe not. Didn't want to take that chance going back and forth. If I could order the complete assembly with everything, I figured that would be a lot better, as well as having a nice shift knob that's better than the original one and blends in with his interior theme of the red and the charcoal, the red and black. So this is nice. It says RS. It doesn't say anything about any miscellaneous shift knob because race sport. So he's definitely going to be racing this car. Looks nice, looks good. Have all the provisions. This will snap into the factory location on the transmission. This piece will connect to the selector arm. So we have a nice complete shifter linkage kit that should work and select the gears, select through the gears, as far as park, drive, reverse, anything like that on his transmission without any issues. Okay, I'm back out here at it again, putting together the water pump assembly, putting together the spaghetti network of hoses, and yes, it's very tedious. So this is the original water pump assembly and hose. That's why I have it marked. This was off of the 3.2 liter, and we want mostly all of this stuff to kind of bolt in position. This is the original auxiliary water pump, and I have to fabricate a bracket to get it in between this. So I'm either going to make a bracket to come off the bottom of here, and or this is what they did. This screw tab right here was literally bolted to this part here. So this factory one on the 3.2 was drilled and tapped. So let's take a look at that for reference. It's a different plate setup, different girdle housing for the alternator and the AC compressor, but you can see it was a separate tab that came out here, and here they had two mounting provisions for bolting the water pump assembly in position. So we have to come up with a bracket to get it back into that place, and our original electronic wiring and everything will connect and plug back to that as well. So just for reference, this is what I'm gonna do. Once I get it installed in position, this port right here, this hose originally came from the block right here, and that was the block flow. That's why it says in. That was the block flow that would flow into the water pump, or in this situation, flow into this alternator to cool it, because as I stated before, this is a water-cooled alternator. Okay, I want to take a different look at this, because this is pretty wild. All right, this is the way this appears. Our water pump flows. I don't have a cooling diagram handy in front of me. Of course, I can look it up in the manual, but just going off a reference. Our water pump flows coolant through here, okay? And as a result, that coolant would go through here. Here's our thermostat housing. This piece would also drop down into this hose right here, flow here, flow into the bottom of the radiator, and it pushes from bottom to top. That way it takes advantage of the whole core assembly itself, from the bottom all the way up to the top, and then flow from the top. So this goes to the bottom, but this line also drops off. As you can see, this is the arrow from off his original TT. This means this would go this way. So okay, if that comes out of the engine and it says in and it says out, that would mean this possibly feeds into our water pump, correct? Because you usually you can go from small to large, but you don't want to go from large to small, because that'll create a lot of pressure inside your motor and you can burn up your motor. So follow me here. This would come from out of here, spin up, create your water pressure, come through here as well. So we have water coming from here, and it's stopped from the check valve. This would flow through here and force this all the way up through around our engine, another check valve with a directional arrow, and then this goes directly into our heat exchanger. So then it would go through our heat exchanger, come back out our heat exchanger, and then come from off the extra auxiliary piping and then flow right into our heater cool. So this is definitely very important, this water pump, but this is our objective. Get it positioned into place, come up with some mounting brackets. If I have to use this bolt hole right here, and possibly, which I don't want to do, but take off this assembly, which is even more work, and drill through. But of course, the easiest thing to do would be remove this oil cooler assembly, disconnect the hoses that I already have hooked up, take out my 3 bolts, drill and tap over here into the side of this flange, and then I would have a mounting point for this tab right here. A lot of work, but let's see what I decide to do. Okay, this is what I have for our choices. We can run with the original Passat 3.6 liter auxiliary water pump, or the original 3.2 liter Audi TT water pump, auxiliary water pump. So, and as you see, 3.6, this is the bracket, Passat. So this is a lot more compact, and it saves a lot of space. You can see the big difference as far as getting this in there. Light, a lot more tighter and confined. It's got the lower and upper one, and whereas this newer style is a lot more compact. Decisions. I decided to go with, bam, the original Audi TT 3.2 liter water pump. This is a heavier duty water pump. So for example, on this housing, I have 2006 Passat 3.6 liter. This is a small one, and years ago I tested water pumps like this before when I was running water pumps for my heat exchanger, for my turbo, for my icebox, different things like that. So I've tested the different style Bosch water pumps before, and this one, even though it's larger, it flowed the best out of everything. This is almost like a fuel pump with a water pump housing. Some of the electronic fuel pumps are this size in diameter, and they're known for just supplying a lot of flow. As well as I double checked, and the Audi Q7s and Cayenne has this larger electronic pump on it also, not the smaller one that the Passat is running. So of course I went with the larger one. So what I did was I strapped the top part in. I've seen some housings done like this. This is fixed nice and tight also. So I want 2 mounting points also. And then secondly, I went and bought some flat stock. I'm going to support the lower bracket. So as you can see right here, straight shot, I'm gonna run a flat stock all the way back, mount it to the engine block right here, and install the second piece right here. So that way it's fixed, it's supported by the bracket, and the vibration is still inside a rubber housing that's damped also. So you got the dampening bushings that supports this electronic auxiliary water pump, so that way there's no vibrations going, and there's clearance all the way around. It's not touching anything. Suspended, and the only thing is it's got an upper support right here that's just securing it in place, securing the bracket, and that screw back there. Let's see if we can get back here. Bingo, right there, now locked, installed on the back so it don't vibrate loose. That right there is supporting this. So with the channel lower support bracket that I'm about to make, and I'm gonna just fabricate it into an L channel, so this will just shoot straight back, have a bend right here, and then you can bolt from here and in here, and then you'll have your 2 mounting points also. So let's cut this up and fabricate this bracket next. So I have my brackets and everything fabricated for the water pump, the auxiliary water pump. Turned out pretty good, so I'm happy with it. As you can see beneath, I fabricated some flat stock to support my lower bracket. I tapered it around the front to match up with my original factory bracket. I still have everything loose because I'm gonna take it back off and paint it. So everything is in a nice position. I wanted to make sure I gave myself enough clearance to plug in my electrical connector. They were the same distance as the oil pressure sensor back there also. So my factory one should reach in both positions, as well as I wanted to make sure that I could still utilize some of the factory hoses without having to do any modification. So I can use the original factory Passat hose. I'll squeeze that into position, come off of here, so if we ever had a hose or anything blow, we can still use the factory hoses without having any type of special modified hose. Only thing we're using pretty much is the higher flowing electronic auxiliary water pump that flows better. In my assumption, that flows better than the Passat one. Is a lot bigger, larger motor. And these larger ones I've tested, at least back in the day, from what my experience, has flowed better. So, and especially the fact that they're using this larger pump on the Cayenne, as well as the Audi Q7 and some of the Touareg applications. It's mounted in a higher position. As I stated, it's mounted all the way up here. On those vehicles, it's got a bracket where it's mounted on the side. I'll just give a quick picture for reference. So just for reference, here's my Audi Q7 engine. You can see the water pump is, like I said, mounted on the side of the cylinder head with the brackets. It's all the way up high. So for example, for this to be mounted up so high, it goes to show it must have a lot of flow to actually still circulate and to prime any type of air bubbles out of the system when you're filling it with coolant. We don't want to have to change over from antifreeze to water or water wetter at the racetrack, and we're stuck in the pits purging and purging and purging and purging for hours, and some people still never get all the air bubbles out and end up overheating their vehicles because they had cavitation and the coolant never circulated through the engine. That has happened to a lot of people. They've never primed or got all the air bubbles out, circulation never flowed through the radiator, and as a result, blown engine. So back to here, that's why I knew trying to get this back into almost like an original location, to me this is a nice setup. You have your coolant that comes out, out from the block into here, cool out alternator, coming from out of the alternator, going down into our pump, circulating, and then this will come out of here, the lower hose right here, and we will attach it pretty much to a factory Passat line, install our check valve, and pretty much have that tie in to our return hose right here. So we'll run a similar setup as the original coolant lines, but we'll utilize most of the Passat hoses where needed, or if I have to, still just stop right here with the check valve and then run the rest of his original hoses right here with the T-fins and everything. But either way, the primary point was getting this into position, not bypassing it, not mounting it up into a different location up here. I wanted it down low where it can grab the coolant and still flow. That's why this line here, so it's forcing the return flow back out, going over here, and it's down low to help push this back up. So with this extra pump, forcing a higher power pump, forcing that extra coolant here, the check valve will block it off, and this will go all the way up to the heat exchanger. And we may bypass that because we have the special adapted plate, and we may just run the oil cooler itself instead of using a heat exchanger here. Bartech, this is the cheapest one I found. They sell an adapter plate that mounts an external oil cooler without using the factory heat exchanger. And there's a possibility that those heat exchangers can leak. I haven't heard many instances on leakage with the Audi TT, but if our coolant temperature is high, that will keep our oil temperature from our transmission hot also. Your engine is revving up, you're hot, you're in the pits, you have hot coolant circulating through your engine, it's going to keep your transmission temperatures hot too. But with an external oil cooler controlled by a fan operated by the temperature sensor that's internal mounted in here, as well as we can mount a pressure sensor here, and they sell the aftermarket fin oil housings right here, the oil filter housings with provisions for a pressure sensor and or a temperature sensor. So for those cars that didn't come with temperature sensors, we can still utilize this also and have a temperature sensor, which we will do, a temperature sensor on the dashboard, so that way if he's in the pits, if he's driving around, somebody try to race him, you can monitor your temperature, you're staging up, somebody's trying to burn you down, you can see if your transmission temperature start to rise or if it's maintaining, and you can say, sucker, you can try to burn me down all you want, my shit is staying cool, drop the clutch, pop the paddle shift, whatever you got, stick automatic, let it go, we got it, you getting crushed.